Hello all, it's finally here, the 2023 viewer survey results, while it's still 2023. I know many of you have been absolutely clamoring for this since I held the survey in May, and now I'm sure that a lot of this information is wildly out of date because since the end of May, the subscriber base of this channel has grown by 20%. In fairness, I was working very hard on all the main videos, life got in the way, and to be perfectly honest, in my haste to improve on the survey from 2022, I added a lot of questions just for the sake of adding questions whose answers turned out to be not terribly informative or useful. And that's also true of the way I asked certain questions. So a lot of those questions that I asked won't be in this analysis. Some of them will, but not all. Luckily, by doing this, I've now made lots of mistakes that I can learn from, so I think next year's survey will be a big improvement. There are also, of course, questions, this was also true last year, that I chose not to publish the results of because I think doing so would have an undue influence on their answers in the future, because if people knew the answers that people had given, it would change how they responded. You get the idea. Firstly, this survey was taken by 2,642 respondents, which is an improvement of 60% over 2022's survey. If we were to assume that everyone who took the survey was a subscriber, they definitely weren't, but it's still useful as a point of comparison. The 2022 survey would have been taken by 4.6% of subscribers, whereas the 2023 survey would have been taken by 5.7%, which is also a big improvement, if still a very small share of the overall viewership. I'm going to start here with age, and for this survey I simply asked for the year of birth so I could get one of those nice population charts like you see in textbooks. And from this we can definitely see that the respondents skew younger than the overall viewership as shown by YouTube analytics. For example, the vast majority of viewers are younger than me, and the peak year of birth is 2000. Now, for country of residence, very little changed here. From the top 4 countries, I decided to add a question about subnational divisions, which, like I said, sounded useful at the time, but basically there was a better way to ask this question, and now I know that, but at the very least the answers are very easy to present visually. For Israel here, we have a very clear disproportionate viewership in the center and in Tel Aviv, almost 60%, whereas those two provinces make up 45% of Israel's population. For the US, we can see a very obvious cross between states with large Jewish populations and those with large overall populations. For the UK, I don't know what to say about this, except that I find it interesting that the regions in which my channel is most popular directly correlate with the regions that I've personally been to, but no real thoughts beyond that. For Canada, I suspect that this correlates pretty strongly, like the US, with a mix of large overall population and Jewish population. And here's the one everyone loves, first language. Again, not a huge change, and that's something we're going to see more of. I really have nothing to say here. For gender and sexuality, there was some change in percentages from last year, but not a significant amount. There was, however, a pretty big shift in education. The number of viewers with only a high school diploma or GED increased significantly, while every other educational category shrank slightly. But I suppose that's to be expected in conjunction with the respondents being younger than before. For military service, there was actually a big increase in the number of active duty personnel, both enlisted and officers. And that concerns me because this survey was conducted in May, when the geopolitical situation was basically the same as it had been a year earlier. I don't know what's going on there, but it gives me pause. In the category of religion, last year I was really pleased to see that Jews did not make up a majority of viewers, which I took as a sign that my mission of making Jewish history more broadly accessible was working. And that's definitely continued, as now only 43.5% of respondents are Jewish. But the real story here is the absolute surge in Christian respondents. Among Jews, the secular contingent has gotten bigger, while the Orthodox and especially Haredi percentage has really fallen from last year. And in light of the Christian viewership growing by such a huge percentage, I added a question looking closer at Christian demographics, and I'm surprised to find Catholics outnumbering Protestants. As for personal experience with Judaism, the number of people saying they had visited a synagogue, museum, or other Jewish historical site increased, and the nuns also increased, but every other category shrank, though I suppose that's to be expected as the channel becomes more popular. The ideological spectrum here is way more of a bell curve than it was last year, and as for the mock election using Israeli electoral rules, the outcome is almost the same as last year, barring the changes in the parties themselves, but however small it may be, there is a very consistent leftward shift here. With a new year, there's also more diversity regarding when people found this channel. Obviously, the share from 2023 seems weirdly small, but remember that this survey was conducted in May. If I conducted the survey in December, 2023 probably would have gotten the biggest share. I guess we'll find out next time. And that's it for now. I hope you got some use or knowledge out of these new stats. I didn't get as much as I would have hoped, but like I said, we'll learn from that. And I think 2024 will be a vast improvement. So I'll see you then.